Okay, you've taken your choice. Let me tell you how this normally goes. Remember, we're talking about whether the truth of number 3, Legum can break the board with his hand. And remember, we're talking about that board. I didn't switch the boards in the middle. And I asked you to weigh in on whether you thought number 3 was true or false. And we'll know what the breakdown is in this class. And normally what I tell my students is, I say we're talking about this board and one of these two hands. I'm not putting a hammer, a sledgehammer, a saw, or any other tool. With my bare hand, we're talking about whether I could break it. Now, what usually happens, and I'll find out later on after I see what you guys have written, is I discover that certain percentage of class, I often like to try to get it at 50-50, thought that I could break it. And I kid around. I say, okay, those are the people who have a chance of still passing the course. And then I call them the Legum believers. And then let's say half the class thinks that I can't break the board. Okay, now, notice when we're talking about female genital mutilation, if half of the class thought that it being morally wrong, female genital mutilation being morally wrong, if half the class thought that was true and the other half thought it was false, the truth of that one was subjective to the groups of people. So similarly, it looks like the answer to this question is that the truth of 3, whether I could break the board or not, is relative. It's relative to the group of people, right? Because I can assure you, it's never been, that everybody agrees it's either true or false, right? And people usually, are you going to break it? Are you going to do it? What's going to happen? I said, I didn't break it. I wasn't going to touch anything. I'm trying to demonstrate a point about the truth of number 3. I'm pointing to number 3. Okay, so we've decided then that the truth of number 3 is like the moral statement because there's substantial disagreement. And what I usually do at this point is I kind of hold the board up like this, and I usually only takes me one try, and I break it. Excuse me, I usually don't have the headset on. It kind of threw. And then everybody's impressed that I can break a board. But by the way, you really shouldn't be so impressed because let me fifth. Well, I don't have my 6th degree, but I knew exactly what was going to happen. By the way, don't try this at home. Even though you're at home, I'm at home. I can try this at home because this was done by a professional in controlled circumstances. I don't have my 6th degree certificate down here, but I happen to be a 6th degree. This is my 5th degree a long time ago. Black belt in Taekwondo. This is not something that's very tough. But notice, all of a sudden the board is broken. What's going to happen if we take that vote again? Everybody's going to agree. Now, here's the question that I have for you. Did the truth of that go from relative to objective? Did anything about the world change because I actually broke the board? Would it have made any difference if I walked away and said, no, I'm not going to break this board. This was just a prop. It's just here to demonstrate something. Nothing really changed. Nothing. The truth didn't change from the time that I first asked you to think about it to the 10 minutes later that we're now having this discussion. So what's kind of interesting about it is the same kind of reasoning that oftentimes leads many students and most people to think that moral statements like number 1 their truth is relative. The truth of moral statements like number 1 is relative or subjective to groups of people. The fact of the matter is, nobody now thinks that that one is relative. So what is the difference? That is, why should you think that female genital mutilation is morally wrong? That statement, what determines, I should say, whether that statement is true or false, is what people believe. It's a bad line of reasoning.